Hey fam, it's your boy Matty D. Happy Thursday. Only one day from the weekend. Congrats on making it this far. Let's take a look at the story matter today and how to make it actionable. And we're going to start with a bit of a segue. So we started off I want to say last week, talking about the refugee situation in Afghanistan. And Justin Trudeau had promised that 20,000 refugees would be brought into Canada and we'd be taking care of people that way. We doubted that because he's always failed whenever he's attempted to support or actually do almost anything when it comes to bettering people's lives. And sure enough, it was announced today that they have stopped their movement of people from Afghanistan, and that number of people saved comes to 3,700. So it's an abysmal number from an abysmal air quote leader, and I think it's a really important time for us to kind of go, and I'll put a link to this website in the description of the video here. But if you can, please volunteer, please donate to those who are resettling in Canada. The quickest way to get a hold of them here is just this email address, afghaniresettlement@ccislive.ca, and they'll connect you with a settlement program in your area. And they're asking for you to do really simple things. So the donation's obviously the easiest thing to do, but if you want to give time or labor, just simple things like speaking circles where you just talk about, they get used to conversational English, they get used to like slang and things like that, and just have that opportunity to connect with people. And then just like kind of like walking around the neighborhood. Like, this is where I go get groceries, this is where I go buy my pass for transit, this is what it's like taking the train, this is how you find simple things. They're really simple steps to take just to make people who are fleeing a country devastated by Canada and our NATO allies, trying to give them some sense of community and warmth when they have had that ripped away from them because of us. So we know that Trudeau does not care about Afghans or people outside our borders, but surely he cares about the young people. Yesterday, we heard from Badrino, the political analyst from Badrino Politics, that no, he does not. Badrino broke this story that was picked up by CBC and Jugmeat Scene and a bunch of others, that there will not be any special polling stations on campus for youth this year. Vote on Campus program has been suspended. The official reasoning for that is it's just too tight of a timeline. They can't support people. And they actually did warn Trudeau and House of Commons about this in October of 2020, of June of 2021. This is a known thing. This is something that they specifically requested the government have an extended window on the election, so that way they could fulfill the mandate of supporting as many people voting as safely as possible. But Trudeau still chose to have the shortest election possible. Trudeau chose to ignore the youth. Trudeau declared a war on young people and said, I don't give a fuck about you because you're not going to vote for me anyway. So that was a nice reminder that Trudeau does not give a fuck about young people. So Trudeau doesn't care about Afghans. He doesn't care about young people. Surely he cares about other people within Canada. And as we all know, and was proven today, he does not. So the latest story here is the Public Health Agency of Canada hasn't held a single COVID-19 briefing since the announcement of the federal election on August 15th, and doesn't plan to provide more health updates until it's over, Global News has learned. And this story is just, so he doesn't care about the youth, he doesn't care about Afghans, and he doesn't care about Canadians struggling with the fourth wave of the worst pandemic our world has ever seen. He has chosen instead to go out selfishly to try to win a majority, which thankfully it looks like due to the polls, Canadians are denying him. But it's such a rough time, and it's such a brutal time to decide to place yourself and your political aspirations over the comfort and need of Canadians. Canadians have gotten used to the daily updates from from health personalities and from Trudeau himself. And to deny all of that, especially the health personalities, it's such a shake to a lot of the people who take comfort in one of that few consistencies they had. And it's kind of really shaken to the core the idea that they give a fuck about what we think or how we're going to survive this pandemic. We know that the operations are going to be hampered because people are so focused on the election. It's just really stunning and depressing, and a final nail in the coffin that Trudeau doesn't give a fuck about us. We have here another a take I liked. Fourth wave COVID, check. Call an election during said fourth wave, check. Stop health updates about COVID during the fourth wave, check. More important to try for majority than worry about health and safety of Canadians, check. Brought to you by the Liberal Party of Canada. And that's just so on point. It is so depressing. So let's go from a leader that clearly does not wish to lead and will do anything it takes to try to win a majority, which looks like we're going to deny him, and try to find some happiness and joy in this. So I think the clear thing is, okay, so we're not getting updates anymore from our health community, which might be for the best, because Nora Loretto is an incredible journalist. She's done a lot of beautiful work when it comes to studying the COVID situation and how it's impacting people and the lives it's costing. And so her latest update here was, of the 28,854 people who have died from COVID in Canada, I've linked 18,200 deaths to residential, 1,700 and 24 residential facilities. And she keeps this running list to show where these deaths are occurring. And she's done such a good job of reporting this. And she goes on in other reports to suggest that 28,000 number might actually be half of what we're actually getting. So we might actually be misinformed from our public health officials who are coming out and giving us daily updates. So this is a really good time to seek out alternative sources. I would recommend Nora Loretto because she is so on it and always has good and correct takes. She doesn't have a Patreon or anything you can directly give her money for, but you can sign up to her podcast, which is featured on her Twitter page here, sandyandnora.com, and give them money that way. They have an awesome Discord with a good group in there, so I'll see you there if you decide to sign up. And then you can also buy any of her amazing books, which she has out there. So I would definitely recommend Nora Loretto. And then it just comes down to, okay, we're not getting it at the federal level. Let's look at our provincial levels. And depending where you're at, that might be a worse and even more depressing story where you might not even, again, want to hear what they have to say. So it's about finding our local media sources and boosting them however possible. And not just boosting them with their eyes and those ad revenue, but actually giving them money and financially supporting them. Because it is such a crucial time, not just because it's election, not just because the world is on fire and we're at the worst point in our climate history, and not just because we're in the worst global pandemic of our history, but we just need to just start really rallying around the voices who are willing to tell the truth. We're not being sucked up by the various monopolies that are taking over all of media in Canada right now. I think so many of the newspapers in Vancouver alone, I think we've got 2-3 major newspapers all owned by the same company. We have very little media selection out there. So we need to be willing to give our money to support true investigation of where are these numbers coming from, who is dying of COVID, who is most impacted, and more importantly, how are we going to recover from this? And I think it's such an exciting time for everybody to speak up and have your voice heard and seen and find better, truer sources than the official versions that are out there. And we can always go the route that Trudeau forced this on us. We should be making him pay. We should be fighting against any Liberal candidate. Totally agree. And we should be working however possible to besmirch him online and anywhere else. And those who support and represent him, which I totally love and agree with that sentiment. I would just say, the whole electoral perspective is, I feel, what has brought us to this point. We have done our best through electoralism, through time. I don't think there's been a large group of people that have said, no, we just want to die, we will stop fighting. So I think there has been good people throughout the battle of electoralism, and I don't think the answer to solving such a corrupt and selfish system that abandons us in maybe our greatest time of need is to then go and say voting for somebody else will fix it. We truly need a different structure. We truly need a different system that will upheave this current system of power, that will upheave power from those in the status quo and set us on a new path towards liberation, freedom, and joy for all. Something that I know Nora Loretto definitely supports, and I would again encourage you to reach out and follow her and support her wherever possible, and find those other voices and share them in the comments of people that you follow that you know are committed to the truth and excellence in finding a better way. But that's probably a conversation for another day. I will be seeing you tomorrow, Friday, at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/MassesUTD, where we will be having our Helection stream 2021, where we're reviewing what's been going on for the last week. There's a lot of good stories. We'll have Bedrino Politics there. We'll be having Yogthost or Dimitri, and then we'll have a few special guests as well. So I do hope we'll see you tomorrow on the Twitch, but if not, have yourself a fantastic weekend, and look forward to catching up with you next week. Sending you love and solidarity. Peace. They bullied and oppressed us, but still our union grows. And we're going to find a way, boys, for shorter hours and better pay, boys. Yes, we're going to win the day, boys. Where the Fraser River flows.